Holistic thinking can work. A warm, windy day on a 365-hectare nature reserve in Still Bay. Ruby had been pulling out large bushes with the old tractor all morning, with the help of Pika, the farm worker, who wrapped the chains clipped to the back of the old tractor around the large trunk of the bush. Ruby was having fun, feeling like she could conquer the world. The front of the tractor would lift a little, depending on how large the bush was, which felt quite invigorating, like riding a rearing horse. Those bushes got yanked out almost effortlessly. Such fun. Pika would pull the bushes to the side and wrap the chain and carry the chain while Ruby backed the trailer to the next bush. Wrap the chain to the bush and Ruby would slowly drive the tractor forward until it jerked forward as the bush's roots released their grip from the hard soil. They stopped for a quick lunch and soon after connected up the large old plough to the tractor. Henry, the 80-year-old man who owned the place, insisted that Pika drive the tractor with the plough to get the line straight, and that Ruby was to sit on the wheel cover to see how it worked, as the plough had to be lifted and dropped at specific times. It was quite a bumpy ride, but Ruby was getting the hang of things. Pika went over a particularly bumpy patch at quite a speed, and Ruby was having trouble keeping her feet away from the levers. She shouted loudly at Pika to slow down so she could get a better grip on her seat. But the old tractor roared very loudly, and Pika was watching the land ahead, not hearing her at all. "Pika, slow down please. My foot is slipping too close to the lever. I can't hold on. Pika!" Ruby shouted at the top of her lungs. Pika didn't hear her at all. He grabbed the lever and dropped it, trapping her left foot and squashing it slowly from ankle to toes. Ruby stared at it in horror as she saw her foot being crushed almost in slow motion. Luckily, she had her cowboy boots on, but she could still feel the agonizing, sharp, crushing pain. She was now screaming in agony, a loud, distressing, piercing shrill. She screamed and screamed for what seemed an eternity. Pika finally saw what was happening, but Ruby's screaming freaked him out so badly that he panicked, not knowing what to do. Ruby, in her pained state, saw Pika go totally blank and realized her screaming was going to make her lose her foot, because Pika could not think straight. Ruby took a breath and said loudly to Pika, as calmly as she could muster, while pointing to the lever, "Pika, lift the lever. Pika, lift the lever. Pika, look at me. Lift the lever now." Pika looked at her in a daze, like he was trapped in a bubble of nothingness. He finally lifted the lever, thankfully. She told him to run and get help. Her foot was agonizingly painful. She was almost too scared to look at the damage, but knew she had to assess the situation. Nothing was bleeding, at least. She kept the boot on to keep everything secure until she could get to the doctor. Ruby's 3 teenage children came running within 5 minutes to help fetch her from the field, while her mom got the car ready to rush her to the nearest emergency section of the local hospital, which was 40 minutes away. While they were driving to the hospital, Henry, the old owner, phoned her. "Ruby, I heard what happened. You need to not talk, but just listen to my voice. Your foot is okay. Do not allow yourself to even consider the fact that it may be broken in any form. If any images of brokenness come to mind, push them away. Do not allow them to occupy any section of your mind. Are you listening to me?" "Yes, Henry, but it's crazy, Saul. It's not possible nothing's broken." "Ruby, you are okay. Your foot is whole. See it as whole. Visualize it being perfectly whole. Can you see it?" Henry demanded from the other side of the cell phone. "Yes, it's whole. I see it whole," Ruby whispered, determined to visualize a perfect foot, no matter what she had just experienced. "Okay, now hold that picture. Your foot is whole. The bones are perfectly whole. They are in one piece. Nothing is broken. Your foot is whole, whole. Now Ruby, keep thinking only positive thoughts about your foot. Do not entertain anything else. I will see you when you get back and we'll do some energy healing on your foot every day. You will see, everything will be okay." With the help of her daughters, one on each side, Ruby hobbled into the emergency room and was ushered into a room to see the doctor. He listened to her story and carefully removed her boot. It was a little swollen and quite painful, but somehow the extreme pain had subsided. The doctor sent her for x-rays immediately to assess the condition of her foot. He told her that it was more than likely broken, but needed to make sure. Ruby kept hearing Henry's voice in her head. "Your foot is whole," and she kept repeating this sentence to herself over and over and over. The nurse and radiologist carefully placed her foot in different positions for the x-rays and let her wait a few minutes. 10 minutes later they redid it all again, almost as if they couldn't believe what they were seeing. She was then ushered back to the doctor's room, where he sat her down and said there were absolutely no broken bones at all. However, she did have all her ligaments in her foot torn, so he wanted to put a plaster cast on to ensure she kept it still so it could heal. She asked him to rather strap it up so she could wash it every day and re-strap it, which he reluctantly did, and told her to make sure she kept it on for at least 6 weeks. Henry popped in after they got home and explained how energy healing worked. He rubbed his hands together while concentrating and hovered them all around her foot for about 20 minutes. He did this every day for 10 days. On the 11th day, Ruby was walking without crutches and her foot was feeling normal again. She started exercising her horses again, carefully, but stayed far away from that darn tractor.